This is Saturday Morning Mysteries.
And we're your hosts, Alexis and Grace.
Hello, good morning, and welcome back to another episode of Saturday Morning Mysteries. We're your hosts. I'm Grace.
And I'm Alexis.
And today is our last episode of Gravity Falls for now.
Definitely for now.
I'm
there
sure
will
we'll be back
for
to
sure.
the show. It's
100%.
incredible. Deeply obsessed. I think we both are.
Mm-hmm.
And Alexis, we're doing the last episode today. As a reminder, she's doing a two-parter. Last week was obviously part one. One question was answered about the show, and everything else was really fucking confusing. And we asked
one and a
more
half,
questions.
maybe. Kind of.
1.2, maybe.
Yeah.
1.25.
Yeah. One and a quarter.
1.25. So, as a quick recap from last week, we're at the Mystery Shack. The feds, full SWAT team, full military operation come in, arrest basically everyone, including the children. Stan is able to break out of prison. The kids are able to get away, possibly with murder, get away from their captor, possibly by murdering him.
Yes, by murdering their captor, a federal agent.
A federal agent, mind you. They all arrive back into the Mystery Shack, and they all, at this point, finally discover Stan's secret lab, which we've been learning throughout this episode is basically the whole reason he's being arrested is that down there, he had stolen a bunch of government waste to power a doomsday device that he was turning on. We had a countdown all at 24, if you remember. The kids, basically Stan, as the episode implied last week, is not what he seems. He's got a bunch of fake IDs. There's a bunch of articles about faking his own death or being murdered, question mark, question mark, question mark. They all convene right when the device is about to go off. It's pretty unbelievable. They don't know who Stan is anymore, including the fact that in that secret lab with the doomsday device, he had all of the journals that Dipper's been looking for. And we end with the device going off because Mabel trusted Stan when he said, it's fine, let her rip. Fuck it, we're doing it live. And Mabel said, say less. And out from the portal came, it turns out, Stan's twin brother, who is the author of the journals. And that's all we know about him. So
that's all we know. Wow.
That's the question we had answered, is who is the author of the journals. But everything else, I have no fucking idea. Okay, that's my quick recap as fast as I could so we could get into it.
Perfect. Nailed it. Because yes, right from there, that is exactly where today's episode picks up.
Good.
Right where we left off. Excellent job, Grace. We see the gang. Dipper, Mabel, Seuss, Grunkle Stan, and our now newly introduced other Grunkle are all hunkered down and hiding from the feds in the basement / secret laboratory underneath the Mystery Shack. And obviously, Mabel, Dipper, and Seuss are very, very confused and concerned. Same. And likewise, me, when I first watched this episode, I was like, what is happening now?
Same.
About what I can only describe as this cyberpunk time traveling looking sideburn rocking copy of the uncle / boss they know, right?
Yes.
Looks just like Stan, their boss / uncle, but way more badass. And like I mentioned last week, like Batman from the Justice League in his nightmare scenario where he has on the trench coat, the cool goggles, the gun, the boots, everything is, it looks really cool. And God, this guy has definitely just traveled through some other worlds or interdimensional portals, whatever.
Yeah.
Dimensions, etc. And I guess the reason why I really had to plug Justice League there again is because before I get deeper into this episode, I have to just name drop the voice actor for this new uncle, this new Grunkle that we're meeting. And oh my God, Grace, the show does not cease to pull literal legends. I'm telling you, it's insane. They just so happen to book, and I'm not exaggerating when I call this man one of the most prolific actors of our lifetime, Grace. I'm not even shitting you. This new uncle, whose name I'm not going to say yet, but Stan's twin brother, is voiced by none other than J.K. Simmons.
What? Also, I'm only now picture I'm only going to picture him as J.K. Simmons.
Yeah, well,
Like
that's
I'm
fine. I
seeing
mean,
him
that's
in
okay.
the whole
Yeah.
costume. Sorry, I know it's his twin, but
Yeah. But yeah. And
wow.
again, yet another person who does not need to
Slay.
change their
No,
voice.
no, not one note higher, lower, same voice every
The
time.
same gruff, the same
Oh,
anger, the same just like, I'm sick of your shit.
the
The
same
J.K. Simmons,
like
the one and only.
yeah,
Yeah.
the
Who
same
was
like I ain't
Commissioner
got
Gordon
time
in
for
that
this
Justin League
today
movie. Exactly.
energy.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, yes, the reason why I'm tying it all back to Justice League again is because he happened to play Commissioner Gordon in like the Batman
Mm.
universe in that Justice League movie, which I didn't even think about when I dropped that movie
Oh,
last week when I
funny,
like
but it
mentioned it.
worked
And I
out
was like, oh, wait. Oh, well, now I
perfectly.
have to bring it up. Yeah, exactly. So,
Wow,
anyways, yeah, like just another legend, and I will add
that's
that like
incredible.
Agent Powers is still technically in this episode
With Nick
since it is a
Offerman.
two-parter. Exactly. So we've got J.K. Simmons and Nick Offerman both in this episode, just
Honestly,
casually.
my perfect
Like,
coffee day, like
I
people to
could
grab
not.
coffee with. Who I want to grab
Yeah,
coffee with who's
right.
famous? These two with me.
It would be those two. Yeah.
Yes.
Like, tell me just everything. Just
Yeah.
tell me all the stories. I
Let
want
me
to
just
know it
hear
all.
you
Just tell
speak.
me. Let me hear about your process. I want to know it all.
Yes.
How do you become so prolific in the work that you do?
By not
Teach
changing what
me.
you do ever.
Basically, yeah. Just, I don't know, just like be really good at it, I
And do it
guess. Like,
perfect.
sorry, it's genetic and unattainable. So,
Nick
anyways, Parks and Rec reference, which of course, Nick Offerman. Anyways,
Offerman.
God, get out of my brain.
Never.
So, yes, they are obviously everyone's very confused and wants answers. And before they can get any answers, the brothers are just there bickering as twin brothers probably do when they're kind of mad at each other, which we'll find out why in a moment. But mostly they're just talking about like J.K. Simmons at this point is telling Stan, I was going to say, is telling Alex Hirsch, who voices Stan. It
For
doesn't,
real
I'm
names
sorry,
only.
Alex Hirsch, but it doesn't really
Not the same.
hold the
Doesn't hit.
same. It's not the
Yeah.
same. Sorry, bro. Respect. But anyways, so they're bickering mostly about like Stan using the portal because his twin is like, dude, this is so dangerous. I can't believe you did this. What's wrong with you? How could
Mm.
you? But he's also complaining that it took him so long to get him back out of the portal and to like save him from being trapped in this other world or dimension where he was. We'll talk about all this
Oh,
more in a minute. And then
interesting.
also, like, Stan lets it slip that the entire United States government is actually fully aware that they're in
This
possession
exists.
of this doomsday device. And that
Mm.
obviously does not make the twin brother happy at all. And
Yeah.
then Stan also lets it drop that he's actually stolen his twin brother's identity and has been pretending to be him for the past 30 years.
Wait, so we do know the name of the twin now, and it's Stan?
So we know the name of the twin. It's Stanford Pines. And it's funny because at this point, we've known Stan Pines, Grunkle Stan, to be Stanford Pines, but now
Yes.
we realize that his real name is Stan Lee, not
Oh, okay,
Stanford.
that's
So
fucking
Stanford
crazy.
and Stanley, I know, right? It's Stan and Stan ultimately, but Stanford likes to be called Ford, and then Stanley likes
Okay,
to be called Stan. So we'll
Stan.
say Ford and Stan, basically, to differentiate the two. But
Okay,
yeah,
so
he
was
stole
it
his
a
brother's identity.
so did he fake his own death or in earlier and
Well,
then steal the
I'll go
identity?
ahead and
Okay,
say it. He did fake his own death. He faked his own death. I'll explain why at the
thank you.
end,
That was
but
my
yes,
next
for
question.
now, we'll get that out of the way. I'll give you that little nugget
Okay,
to calm
okay.
everybody down for a second.
I'm
Yes.
not calm,
So
but a little bit more. Thank you.
yes. And the many fake IDs will also be explained too, but he did fake his
Mm,
death and then took Stanford's identity after faking his death.
okay.
So yes, the men are bickering about this. But the younger twins and Seuss are like, okay, guys,
Hi.
listen, guys, hey,
What we don't
over
problem?
here,
Yeah.
what's going on? What's
What the
going
fuck?
on? And also the feds are still upstairs, so like we need to think of something to do.
Yeah.
And so the stands take a step back and they decide that like while hiding from the feds because they're pretty sure that they won't find them down there, so all they have to do is like hunker down for a little while until the feds leave. So they're
Hmm.
like, all right, we'll go ahead and we'll tell you the entire story. Basically Stanley's like, I'm gonna explain to you how I accidentally trapped Ford in this portal 30
Accidentally?
years ago. Yeah, just you wait.
For the last 30 years?
So 30 years.
You know
But
what?
their
Ford is right to
story
be
goes
pissed.
back. Oh yes, yes, but yeah, both parties are right about a lot of things right now. We'll find out.
Oh
So
no. Okay. Okay.
because yes, any good background story, it can't just go back to like the inciting incident. You got to
Yeah.
go all the way
Context.
back to the beginning.
Yep.
Exactly. So the story goes back much, much further than even the 30 years that Ford has
Okay.
been missing.
Okay.
So Stanley and Stanford Pines were born as twins in the quaint town of Glass Shard Beach, New Jersey, in
Oh,
the 1950s.
okay.
And the boys described their childhood relationship as actually unbreakable. They had a really, really close relationship. They were the best of friends. Where one went, the other would always follow.
Mhm.
And this was actually somewhat surprising because the boys also had very distinct personalities and character traits. Stanford grew up, he was always very bookish and a little bit shy and was a bit nerdy and kind of ostracized because he was born with the genetic mutation of having six fingers on each hand.
Mm.
So he was bullied quite a bit. And Stan Lee, on the other hand, was a bit more gregarious. He was like more adventurous and was always ready to like punch stuff or hit
Mhm.
things and was really energetic and active, but
Mhm.
still was bullied because his brother was the guy with six fingers on each
Yeah.
hand. And the two of them really didn't have any other friends besides each other.
Oh.
So the two were raised in what was called the quote unquote lead paint district in Glass Shard Beach. Sounds
Oh,
very
Glass
safe.
Shard Beach also.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
dangerous life from the start.
Yes. And of course, New Jersey. So that's the worst part of it all, too. Like, geez.
You know what?
Like,
As
just when
someone born in New
you
Jersey,
can't get, I forgot you were born in New Jersey. Oh my God, I totally forgot that
as
actually.
someone
I
born
thought
in
you were
New
born in
Jersey, I
Chicago.
agree.
Yeah.
Speaking for all the New
Great.
Jerseyans, I agree.
Agreed. Nice.
My
All
whole
right. Well,
six
now
months of my first 6 months existing in the world, trash.
formative months,
Yeah.
formative months,
Glass shards
and now I feel
everywhere.
less bad about trashing on New Jersey all the time because I can say, hey, one of my best friends was born from New
Was
Jersey.
born
I'm
there.
allowed to make fun of it.
She said it's okay,
She said it's fine. She only lived there for 6 months, but like whatever,
but still counts.
still counts. So yes, they were raised in this lead paint district by what they described as a very strict and stoic father who happened to own a pawn shop that they lived above and who was never impressed by anything that anyone ever did. Like he was very, very
Oh.
hard to please. Typical for a dad in the 50s. Am I
Yeah, I was gonna say
right?
he probably
Am
just
I
got back from
right?
World War II.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
yeah.
It's like, trust me, I've seen everything. You can't show me anything that can ever make me feel ever again.
Yes.
So,
Like,
so likewise, their mother was a bit of an interesting case. She was described as a pathological liar who therefore made a decent living as a phone psychic. And she just like ran that phone psychic
oh,
company
funny. Oh,
her house as
interesting.
well.
So scams
hmm
are
Scammers downstairs, scammers upstairs.
mhm,
This was a scamming
generational
family.
scammers.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. So, seeing that this was like their home life, the boys naturally opted to spend much of their free time and the time growing up exploring the great outdoors of coastal New
Jersey.
Jersey.
Jersey
So,
Shore.
yeah, let's go. Glass Shard Beach. Make sure you wear hard-toed shoes on the beach. So, one of the many and probably the most eventful adventure that the two boys went on along the sandy shores of Glass Shard Beach when they were young. They recalled a time where they landed in a secret cave, concealed, not landed, like they found a secret cave
Mhm.
concealed beneath the sand under the beach, where they came across an old, abandoned, broken down ship, which was called the Man of War, which hilariously called back to my first episode, likely inspired Stan's boat that they took out on Lake Gravity
Oh yeah, what's it
Falls, which
called?
was called the Stan of War. I didn't mention it at the
Oh,
time because I was like, ah, that's
clever.
cool. But yeah, so
Clever.
we see a lot of Easter eggs in this episode, like of
Cool.
things that kind of inspired them to who they are today. It's very, very fun. But the twins made a promise to each other that they would spend the rest of their life working together to refurbish this old ship and sail it around the world, searching for lost treasures, partying on
Cute.
beaches, hooking up with beautiful women all over the world,
Uh-huh.
etc. But like I said before, the boys, they did face a lot of bullying growing up and they did have a hard time making other friends.
Mm.
So mostly because Stanford had six fingers on each hand, and also because Stan Lee was really not the sharpest tool in the shed. And then, like
Mm.
I said before, collectively, because both boys just really didn't have any friends besides each other. And so people bullied them for that.
Mhm.
But in the face of all of this bullying, the kids stood strong, or the twins stood strong in their dedication and love for each other, promising that they would always have each other's backs and that at the end of the day, they would always work towards their mission of fixing up this boat and sailing the seas.
Okay.
For the most part, they maintained this dedication and this strong bond through their childhood and like early teen years,
Mhm.
even as they started to grow and grew into more distinct characters with their own particular interests and personalities. No matter how different they became as individuals, they always maintained a strong bond as brothers and as best friends.
Mm.
So as they got older, we see Stanford, he continued to excel in school. He was like acing every test, every class. He was constantly receiving the praises of all of his teachers and like his principal and everything, creating these amazing machines and like robotic displays for science fairs and stuff like that, and just
Mm.
random science classes. But Stanley, on the other hand, he started to get like a little more lazier, a little
Mm.
more focused on just like pranking other kids and like general debauchery and just like,
Uh-huh.
always hitting shit and like causing a ruckus,
Mm.
basically. But thankfully for Stanley, when your brother is the smartest kid in school and possibly in town, it's easy to still get by with like at least mere passing grades. So he would just
Uh-huh.
always cheat off of Stanford's work and then he would still get by in classes,
Yep.
even though everyone in school and all the teachers knew he was basically an idiot. But like, you can't
You still
prove that he's
passed.
cheating. So he still
Yeah.
passed. Exactly. So they had
Early
to let him
scammer.
pass. Mm-hmm.
Early days of scamming.
It's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, this
Scammer's
is
gonna scam.
literally his earliest scams. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
scamming his own teachers, no less.
Yeah.
So eventually, the boys neared the end of their high school years and they had to start making decisions about what to do next in their life.
Mm.
For Stanley, no planning was really needed because planning for him had already been done, right? Like, as far as he was concerned, the duo was going to finish fixing up their boat and they were going to
Uh-oh.
sail their ship across the seas looking for treasure. Yeah,
Right.
uh-oh.
Mm.
Because on the other hand, Stanford, remember, he's doing really well in school. Teachers are
Mhm.
praising him. He's really into like the odd and the unanswered things, the unanswered questions in life. So he's very like driven towards science and experimentation. And he kind of started to grow into a new worldview and saw a new future for himself. Like he was still kind of okay with the whole idea of sailing around the seas and, finding treasure and everything with his brother. But he did still have like lingering insecurities about growing up with 12 fingers and
Mm.
like wanting to lean more maybe into finding solutions for life's greatest questions and answering some of life's greatest mysteries.
Mhm.
So he started to actually lean towards the pursuit of science and research and started considering leaving Glass Shard Beach and like the East Coast in general to
Mm.
attend college somewhere else and to engage in research and actually
Mhm.
study hard sciences and learn more. So this combined with his academic success led to a bit of a rift starting to form
Yeah.
between the two brothers, right? Because they started to see their future paths diverging. And I mean, I say the rift was between the two brothers, but it was really mostly Stanley who was starting
Who's
to
upset?
like get a little upset exactly about what seemed to be like an actual future for his brother,
Yeah.
while he really didn't have anything going for him himself. Obviously, they would talk about this rift a little bit and about like, well, hey, like I want to finish working on the boat, but you want to go to school. And so they had conversations about this, but Stanford always promised him that as long as he didn't get accepted into like some big flashy college far away from home, then he would obviously continue to like stick around and plan for their epic treasure hunting adventure in the meantime.
It's a pretty big caveat, though.
When
you're
it's
really
like,
smart.
as long as when you're a genius, it's like, hey, as long as I don't get into college, I'll obviously stay here with
Yeah.
you. He says is the smartest person in town
Yeah,
who
exactly.
is coincidentally getting ready for college.
Yeah.
And yeah, pretty soon, Stanford's big chance at a world-class education was right around the corner when one day their high school principal called the twins to his office. But hilariously, he only let Stan Ford in and told Stanley to just like sit in the hall and wait.
Oh.
And when Ford got in there, he saw that his parents were also in the office with the principal. And so the principal explained to Mr. and Mrs. Pines, I guess, great grandparents Pine and Stanford, that not only is Stanford ridiculously gifted and extremely talented and intelligent and loved by all of his teachers, but that he also has a shot at a full ride scholarship to West Coast Tech, which is, in this universe, the best school for the brightest minds. Basically, like the principal says, it's known to like catapult poor but intelligent kids into vast amounts of wealth and success. Like, if your son gets into here, guys, like you're set. Yeah, like you guys are going places, and he's set for life, meaning that you guys are also set for life. And obviously this gets their dad's attention, which is noteworthy because this man's not impressed by anything. And he just, with his arms crossed in his hands, he's always wearing like sunglasses and a fedora. Like he totally looks like a New Jersey mobster for sure, who like is running a pawn shop
Probably
too.
is, yeah.
But he's got his arms crossed and he's just sitting in the office and he just nods his head like, I'm impressed.
Damn. So he's definitely going.
So exactly. So dad is happy about this. The mom is getting a little excited about the news and all of that, about this opportunity possibly arising for them. And the principal then tells the family that it gets even better. Representatives from West Coast Tech are planning on attending the high school's upcoming science fair. And that a recent experiment that Stanford did would be a shoe-in exhibit to lock in his admission and scholarship to the prestigious school. You know, he could show this exhibit. It would give him a great opportunity to talk one-on-one with these admission folks and like get his name in there and like guarantee basically his spot at that school in the future. So Stanley obviously later finds out that Stanford not only agrees to present his experiment at the science fair, but that he's also excited to do it.
Yeah.
And this leads to yet another rift and argument between them about their futures. Ford tries to calm down Stanley by telling him that, you know, it's like, I don't know if I'm going to get it yet. Like, they're just coming to look. Who knows what'll happen? We're just going to talk. It's fine. Like, you know, I'm just going to shoot the shots and see what sticks, you know? And until then, until I'm actually accepted into the program, don't worry, bro. It's still me and you fixing up the boat. Yeah, all good. Like, we're going to sail the seas one day. But if I do get into the school, like, you better come visit me on the West Coast, bro. Get ready.
I'm so nervous. Okay.
Yeah. Gets a lot worse before it gets better here.
Yeah, I've assumed just as much.
Yeah. And Ford, you know, he's trying to be reassuring. He's trying to like, you know, uplift his brother's spirits here a little bit. But what Ford didn't know is that Stanley overheard the entire meeting in the principal's office. Like he was right in the hallway. So he basically overheard the principal claim that Stanley has no future. Basically, his only future is as like a janitor at a dockside taffy shop in the town. Yeah. He heard his dad basically show some level of interest in Stanford, which is like a first for either of the boys. So now he knows like, oh God, like dad's proud of him, but he's not proud of me. And he basically heard his family concede that Stanford is destined for greatness, while Stan Lee is likely just going to spend the rest of his life in New Jersey. So listen, Stanley is like, God, A2 Brutus, yet again, coming fresh off the Ides of March. How could you stab this dagger in my heart? But yeah, Stanley, so like, he's trying to listen to his brother and like accept his brother's kind words of like, it's cool, bro, it's still me and you and whatnot. But like inside, he knows that this is probably
it's
it.
over.
Like they're about to, yeah, they're going to split up, and he's not looking forward to it because he knows, or at least he believes that he's nothing without his brother. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't have any other friends. He doesn't have any other future because
Oh.
like his future was kind of driven by his brother, and he
Yeah.
views himself as basically just one half of a duo, which is a solo. So
Yeah.
you got nothing without Stanford.
Different act. Yeah.
The whole
Very
different
act.
acts.
Totally billing different, everything.
All of it, all of it. You don't get the same writers. It's just not the
Nope.
same. Not the same.
Mm-mm.
So on the night before the science fair, Stanley, he's in a bit of a fit of rage and he storms over to the high school. He's like not really thinking straight. And he goes right into the gymnasium where the science fair is being held.
No, that's what I was worried
You know
about.
how it was
That's
back
what I'm
then.
fearing.
Exactly.
No,
And he
don't do it,
walks right up to
Stan.
Stanford's experiment and he's looking at it and he's just kind of like scanning it over.
Do it.
But also, he's not thinking rationally. So he's just like yelling at the experiment, blaming the experiment for splitting up him and his brother, which is like, okay, not totally accurate, but like he's not smart. So whatever. Let him have this one. Let him have this one. And as he's kind of yelling at the machine, he just, in a bout of anger, just slams his fist down on the table that the machine is on. And he doesn't really think that he did anything wrong to it, but he notices that like the machine like jolted and shook out of place. And I should say it's like a perpetual motion machine that has like these two like balls hanging from a wire just constantly spinning around it. So when he slams his fist on the table, the ball stops spinning and the machine starts smoking. And even he's smart enough to know that that's not what a perpetual motion machine should
when
do.
It's not in motion.
Perpetually move, basically. So he tries to like reconfigure some things on the machine and like make it work again. And like it stops smoking, which is good, but like it doesn't start moving again. So he just kind of like covers it with a towel and is like, that should do it. And then like storms the fuck out of there. Like, I think I fixed it. Yeah, that's probably cool. Let me get out of here before anyone sees me and before my brother finds out that I just maybe ruined his experiment. Oopsies. And of course, much to Ford's surprise, the next morning, while he's trying to demonstrate this machine and this experiment to the representatives from West Coast Tech, who are like, no nonsense. They're in, they're out. They're like, listen, show us what you got, kid. They pull out a clipboard and they're like, we're ready whenever you are. No time for questions. They just want to get straight to the point. Yep. So he rips that towel or the blanket, whatever, the sheet off of the machine, ready to unveil it. But before he can get a word out, they stop him and they say, well, this was a waste of our time driving out here. And he looks at the machine and notices that it ain't moving. And he's like, well, it had to be like something must have gone wrong. Like the power, there must have been an outage last night or something. Cause I promise you, it was just working yesterday morning. Like I was just working on this and it was okay. And they were like, whatever, kid, doesn't look like your West Coast Tech material. They cross his name off their checklist and they just leave. They get on out of there.
Fucking savage.
It's that. Yeah. And look, it doesn't take long for Stanford to realize what's happened here because I think like basically sabotage, but he knows that it was Stanley that did it. I mean, and it's because Stanley is always, he loved eating these like toffee covered peanuts or something. It was like his favorite snack. And Stanford found an empty bag of those toffee covered peanuts just like on the ground near his experiment in the gym.
This is where Stan learned to always clean up evidence.
You know, this is why recycling is good. Throwing things in the trash is good. Don't litter because when we say leave no trace, it's not just for the environment. It's also to exonerate us of any crimes.
Yes.
Exactly. It's also to not leave evidence of the crimes we have committed.
Evidence
leave
in
no
the environment.
Trace. Yeah. Kind of go hand in hand. E and E, you know, the two most important E's in this life. So obviously, Stanford storms back home and immediately confronts Stanley about this and like does not waste any time just accusing him of ruining any chance that he had for leaving this dump, this hellhole, and
Yes.
like living out his dream, solving life's greatest questions out at West Coast
Yeah.
Tech, and like getting grant money and full ride scholarship and being
Yeah.
propelled into like fame as a scientist, etc. So thankfully, Stanley does like admit to it. Like it doesn't, he's not like dancing around it and lying. He's like,
Yeah.
yeah, like I did it. I'm sorry. It was an accident. Like I was roughhousing around and I just wasn't paying attention.
Hmm.
But knowing that his brother messed all of this up for him, even if it was on accident, doesn't
Hmm.
ease the pain of
Yeah.
Stanford knowing that his dream has been yanked away from him, right?
Yes.
So the
Pretty
two
big deal.
argue about this. It is, yeah, pretty big deal. So they're arguing, and their parents overhear this argument. And obviously, when they hear that Stanley messed something up for their family yet again,
Ooh.
and not just something, but like the main chance that their family finally had at like achieving some upward mobility and like moving
Uh-huh.
up in life and gaining some wealth and status and success, they're pissed off enough at Stanley that they straight up kick him out of the house. The dad just says, get out. Like, you're never going to mess anything up for this family again. You're never going to betray this
Damn.
family again. I want you out right now. And the sadder part about all of this, or the saddest part,
Uh-huh.
is that as his dad is kicking him out, Stan, he like looks to Stanford and says, Ford, like, you're not going to like help me. Like,
Oh
stand up for me. What,
no.
like, come on. Like, you can't let them just kick me out.
Oh
And Stanford just
no.
turns around and like he goes back to his room and just is like, nah, ignores them and lets his dad kick him
Oh
out.
no.
So for the
Okay.
first time ever in his life, Stan found himself entirely alone, entirely homeless, and living on the road. Thankfully, I think he had a car at this age. Somehow he saved up
But
enough for a car, so he was able to
still.
get in the car and just drive away. But he's by himself and he's like 18 years old.
Yeah, I don't know
And
shit.
it's like 19, I guess by now it's probably 1960 something, like mid 60s. I don't
Yeah.
know. But like, yikes. Like, that's not, like,
Can't be out.
come on. What the heck?
Man,
And
didn't even
again,
graduate high school. Like,
exactly. Yeah, he didn't
oh,
actually. And like, we give Stan a lot of crap in like the future in this show, but
yeah,
it's like, eesh. Okay, I kind of get
hella
it. I
hard.
kind of get it. You did not have a great upbringing. You did not have a
Mm-mm,
good childhood. So
mm-mm.
sorry to hear it, bro.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Stanley, he's determined to one day prove his family wrong so that they'll let him back in the house or they'll at least accept him again. And he tells himself that all he has to do is find a good gig. He's got to become a successful businessman and just make a bunch of money and prove to his family that he's worth a damn.
Okay.
And so at first he does kind of like try to lean into the treasure hunting thing. He gets one of those just
Mm.
like metal detector things and is like scraping the
They,
beaches, combing around
yeah.
looking for gold, but he doesn't really have a lot of luck with that. So
Mhm.
then he moves on to something a little bit more stable and lucrative, which is he decides to become a traveling salesman,
Oh, with
basically.
vacuums, perhaps?
Oh, no,
Not
you
yet.
wish it was vacuums. You wish
Okay.
it was vacuums,
Okay.
Grace.
At one point, I
Let's
think he
see.
was in like a flashback, but
Oh, true.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
that
true.
was before he
That
learned to
was in there
con.
for sure. Yeah, let's be real. So they show like a montage of his conning and scamming
Uh-huh.
across the country, basically. And like we get a few examples. And the ones that we see, I didn't write them down, but one of them he was trying to sell like like the sham wow. And I'm
Yeah.
saying like the sham wow, not it's not actually like the sham wow for the
Yeah.
lawyers listening or anything, but he basically it's like a cleaning up towel that like
Uh-huh.
the color dye that he used to make it is like really crappy and
Oh,
gaudy and
it
just
just
like stains
leaks.
anything that you
Yeah.
wipe it off with. So people are like wiping their clothes off and it just
It was
turns their
getting
entire
stained.
outfit blue. Exactly. So
Mm-hmm.
like so he just kind of
Pretty
gets kicked out
shoddy
of town or like
Sam's.
chased out of town.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
Okay.
like
So
he
life
also
of
is
the
attaching
con.
yes, basically. Because like he's attaching his face to all the products that he sells too. So people recognize him when the products go wrong and then they just angrily chase him out of town.
Yeah.
And he kind of then finds himself in this cycle of like, all right, come up with a business venture, sell it. Maybe not a great business venture. People get mad about it. They chase me out of town. I change my ID. I escape. I make my way to a new
So
town where
thus
I
the
then begin
IDs.
another business, thus the IDs.
Okay.
And then I start a new venture with the newer, slightly more sophisticated scam until I'm then again chased out of
Mm-hmm.
town. And then I change my ID again. I move to a new state.
God,
You
things
get
were
it
so much
on and on
easier in
and
the 60s
on.
and 70s to get away with
You know,
scams
when
and crimes.
exactly they did not check passports like they do
Mm-mm.
now.
Nope, real
They don't
ID?
they don't do it
Absolutely
like they
not.
used to. Exactly. But in between his stints as a scammer, going from state to state, and he hops from like New Jersey to Pennsylvania to the South and all over, eventually making his way west. We do see him, spending some time living out of his car, in between the
Hmm.
scams, spending his last dollars and cents on like scratch offs and just kind of praying for a
Mm.
financial gift from the gods. And actually, he says he was doing great, but like we see it, he
Not
was
so
really
much.
struggling. He was just straight
Yeah.
up homeless. Yeah. And had no money at all. He probably wasn't eating, or he was probably like begging people for food or
Yeah.
having to do some pretty desperate things to get by. So desperate, in fact, that he admitted that through all of this, he actually ended up getting locked up in like three different countries, which I'm
Oh,
like, huh, like we do see, like in the montage, we see like an
like the
arrow of like
map.
all over the
Yeah.
country, and we see him go south. So maybe
We knew he was in
somewhere
a
on like the
Colombian
Wiki
prison at one
fandom
point.
page, that's what I was gonna say. One of
We
them
saw
is
that clip in one of
Colombian.
mine.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And then I don't know, maybe another one was in Mexico and then another in America or
Oh
in
God, just on the way up and
Canada, maybe.
down.
I don't know. But yeah, he's going all over the place. He's getting locked up. He's living out of his car. He's scamming people.
Mm.
Quite the colorful life, if you ask me.
Yes.
Um, but then on the other hand, we also see what Stanford has been up to in the time since
Okay,
they
yes.
split ways. And his experience is obviously a bit different. So he indeed was not accepted to West Coast Tech, and instead he had to enroll in Backups More University.
At least they're honest.
They're honest.
Yeah, they're
They
not
are.
scamming you. They
And
know.
they say that too. They're like, hey, so we know you didn't get into your first choice, like orientation. Like, we know you didn't get into your first choice, but like, we're a great school too.
But
Hooray,
we're happy to be
basically.
here.
Yeah. So Ford knew that he now had to work two times as hard to maintain
Yeah.
a competitive status against those pretentious losers at West Coast Tech. Like,
Ugh.
I never wanted to even go there anyways, but
Yeah.
like
Lame.
whatever. But Stanford is a really hardworking kid, unlike his brother. So for him, this was perfect, actually. And he was really pleased for the opportunity and he thrived in the environment.
Hmm.
He ended up graduating at the top of his class, like after 1 year, I'm pretty
Damn.
sure. And he like fully entered PhD track and like obtained the PhD within like 3 or 4 years,
Damn.
which crazy. And immediately upon receiving his PhD, he was awarded a research grant that he could use to basically finance the project of his choosing. Like,
Cool.
that's how smart and talented he was. That they were like, yeah, take our money and do whatever the fuck
Do
you
whatever.
want,
We trust
bro.
you.
Like, as long as you have some result, like grant terms accepted, like, boom,
Okay.
that's all you got to do. So when the time came to decide his field of study, and like I should say, he actually had been leaning into like physics and like with the perpetual motion machine and all of
Yeah.
that. Like he was doing like legitimate like trying to figure out opening portals, like CERN type level
Uh-huh.
shit and stuff like that. Like, so he was doing serious science. And then he decided, though, to lean back into the exact sort of things that steered him towards science in the first place, which again, remember his six fingers on each hand.
Oh.
He wanted to find answers to the unknown. He wanted to explain anomalies and he wanted to dive deeper into improbabilities.
Mm.
So through his research, he eventually discovered that a ridiculously high concentration of anomalous events all happened to occur in or around the small town of Gravity Falls, Oregon.
Okay. I was
Exactly.
like, how are they going to
Okay.
end up there? Okay.
hmm So naturally, this became the hub of his research and what he decided to spend all of his grant money on. And I don't remember if they say how much grant money he got, but I swear at one point they say like $1 million or
Damn.
something like
Okay.
that. And this had to be like the early 70s
70s.
maybe at this
Yeah.
point. So that's
That's
a
a
lot
lot
of
of money.
freaking money. Yeah. So Ford took that money. He built himself a nice A-frame deep in the woods and constructed a
Oh.
lab in the basement.
Oh
And
shit. Okay.
immediately And immediately as soon as he arrived, he began encountering all sorts of strange creatures and monsters deep in the woods
Mhm.
of Gravity Falls. And we again see a little montage of some of them. And I just got to say, since it's our last episode and we'll keep throwing it back to our very first episode for all the full
Do
circle
we see
moments
Jeff?
here. We
Do we
don't
see
see
Jeff the
Jeff.
gnome?
Instead, we see Schmebulok Sr. Do you remember Schmebulok the gnome? He was
No.
also in that episode. Yeah.
Wait, who's
He was
Schmebula?
he was one of the gnomes in that episode.
Oh, oh.
But he was like not the leader. He
Yeah,
was
she's like
just
one
like
on
I
the
feel like
bottom.
exactly, and he just kept saying like my name's Schmebulok, and that was it. And so like
Amazing.
he's like toying with this little gnome in his lab, and he's like, "What's your name, sir?" And he's like Schmebulok
Schmebula.
Senior.
Amazing.
Just imply like, okay, it's his dad or granddad, whatever. We also see the shape-shifting monster too. And this is interesting.
Oh.
He digs it. So it's in an egg that he digs out of underground, and he cracks the egg open, and like the little gooey red-eyed
Ugh.
monster sneaks out and then just like shapeshifts into like a mug that he has in his hand or something like that.
Oh.
Yeah. So then obviously he took that thing and put it in that lab, that other bunker,
But
and
only for a little
30
bit.
years later,
Till it got out.
got a lot bigger, it obtained a lot more IDs that it could imitate, and then it broke right on the heck out of that lab or
Yeah.
out of that whatever containment tank or whatever
Yeah.
the heck. So yes, we do just see the montage of him making his way through Gravity Falls and like learning about all of these mysterious creatures, but also like gaining a strong, like a healthy relationship with them, right? Like he's working with
Oh.
them, he's talking with them, he's observing
Okay.
them, he's, you know, decided that he now needs to start recording his findings and his
Okay, like a true
research.
scientist.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly. And what better thing to do that in than a journal that he, of course, then traces his handprint out onto a gold piece of paper and puts right on top of the front of that journal and labels it with the number 1. And over time, of course, all of his findings made him expand into 2 more journals that are identical, basically. And through his discoveries and his research and all of the experiments, Ford eventually came to the conclusion that the many anomalies in Gravity Falls were actually coming from some other dimension that had somehow opened a portal into their world. And somehow is like the portal opening it's got to be here in Gravity Falls.
Yeah.
So his new goal quickly shifted from just learning about the anomalies to figuring out how to either find this portal or recreate it to then venture to these other worlds or maybe send these creatures back to where they came from.
Okay.
Obviously, this is now a new step, and this requires more hands and expertise to help achieve.
Okay.
So Stanford decided to call an old college buddy of his, a man by the name of Fiddleford McGucket.
Yes. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And he asked good old McGucket for a little
Get on
favor.
out
Because at that time, Ford was like, I shouldn't say Ford anymore because now we have Fiddle Ford. Stanford was like, yeah, my old friend Fiddleford, he was doing well, but he was kind of coasting while also being ascendant. Like he was spending the bulk of his time working out of a garage in Palo Alto, building personal computers for people.
Oh my God, funny.
Hilarious. Yeah. And he called him one day and expressed to Fiddleford that he had an idea to create a machine that could create a trans-universal polydimensional metavortex. And the thought of this, a portal, basically, interdimensional portal. And basically, Fiddleford heard this over the phone and was not only like, oh, hell yeah, we can do that, but he was more than happy to have the opportunity to help him do that and to reunite with his old pal in Gravity Falls. And thus, Fiddleford packed up his lucrative little business in the nice Palo Alto, which I should also say, Fiddleford's looking good here too. His hair is brown and like a little shaggy. He's a normal skin tone.
Yeah.
His eyes are very normal. He's got glasses on. He just looks like a
Put
normal young
together.
man, techie man. Kind of low key looks like a young why am I blanking on his name right now? Probably because he's kind of been casted out of society.
BG. Bill
Bill
Gates.
Gates.
Yeah.
Yeah, BG, that guy. Anyways, yeah, like straight up kind of looks like a younger, maybe better shaped
And better
BG,
human
if you
being
will.
than
Better human being, not involved in all sorts
Gates.
of nefarious,
Yes.
scary, disgusting
Bad
files
things.
and whatnot, as we now know. But anyways, so yeah, he's happy to like leave Palo Alto, lose his tan, and go up to the mountains of Oregon and like the woods and forests of Oregon to go help his old friend make this interdimensional portal.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, these two, they are geniuses. So like they are obviously able to build this machine, and obviously we know this because we've now seen this machine in multiple episodes.
Mm-hmm.
They are the ones who built this portal. And eventually, after however long it takes them to do this, it is ready to start testing.
Okay.
So the two decide to get themselves one of those car crash dummies, basically.
Oh, uh-huh.
And they tie it to a very, very long rope, and they gear this portal machine up, and they're slowly just like walking the dummy up towards this portal. And as we know, like things kind of lift up and like lose their gravitational pull or whatever and start to just like levitate as they get close to the portal. So that's what this crash test dummy does. It starts to levitate and lift up and just gets slowly sucked into the portal. But unfortunately, that long rope that's tied around it, the rope gets caught around Fiddleford's foot, and it actually drags him into the portal as well. Yeah. And so Stanford,
his mind about this work.
Okay. And Stanford, in a panic, quickly like grabs onto the rope and pulls Fiddleford back out. But the damage had already been done. Who knows how time moves in that thing, in that portal, or where he ended up.
Yeah.
Because when Fiddleford came back out, he's still the same young man, but he was absolutely shooketh. Like, he's basically paralyzed in fear. His pupils are fully dilated. He's heavily breathing. He's like squinting his eyes, and he's just like laid out on the floor for a moment after he gets yanked back out. And so after a second, he like breathes and he regains his sense of like self almost, and he sits up. And he just has like this 1,000-yard stare in his eyes, just like looking forward past Ford. And he just literally starts speaking like in tongues or like gibberish.
Oh, God.
And in reality, I think what they did is they like sped up something he was saying and then they reversed it. So it like sounds like he's speaking in just like some crazy like gibberish, like not making sense. And then Stanford like shakes him out of it for a second and says like, Fiddleford, what's wrong? What happened? And Fiddleford, again, just with that 1,000-yard stare in his eyes, looks past Ford and says, quote unquote, and in a cold ass voice too, just like, when gravity falls and the earth becomes sky, fear the beast with just one eye.
Oh shit. Okay, I think I know who that beast is.
We know now who that beast is, so that's kind of the most of an answer that we're going to get about him. But basically, like, this guy, what was his name actually? Oh gosh, why are we blanking?
Top Hat Pyramid Man.
Top Hat Pyramid Man, that guy. But anyways, like, yeah, so we know that Fiddleford and Stanford, they have a long history with this guy. Like, they were expecting him to come in that episode that you talked about or whatever, and like are probably expecting him to come again, which maybe we'll touch on that in a second too. But Bill, which is funny. Like, how do we forget that? Because it's Bill the Cipher. Yeah, it's because it's like such a standard name for something so insane. Like, oh yeah, Bill. How do we forget Bill? Anyway.
But yes, Bill Cipher. That's what it is. Nice.
Yes. So McGucket shakes out of it and tells Stanford, like, basically, like, paraphrasing here, but he's like, we're playing with fire, dude. We can't, like, this is not good. Like, what we're building could bring about the end of the world and destroy us all. Like, we got to stop right now.
Yeah.
And he basically tells Stanford, like, we need to shut this down. We're done. We're done here. I'm not doing this anymore. But Stanford refuses because he's like, this is my entire life's work. I've dumped millions into this at this point. Like everything I've done over the past decade, it's been probably by now, has been for this project.
Yeah.
And McGuckett's like, well, you're going to have to do it on your own then, because I'm not doing anything involving that machine ever again.
Okay.
And he walks out on Stanford, leaving him to complete his research all on his own. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I'm going to pause there just for a brief second, because at this point in writing out the script, I had to go back and rewatch your last episode.
Yes, which is where
and I was like,
starts making his videos.
Exactly.
Yep.
Flashing his mind and everything, or erasing his memory. And it all starts literally after this moment. He's like, I've been working with a researcher who's visiting town, and we've done something horrible, and I really don't want to remember it. And you can tell when you see him come out of this portal, he's seen something that he really does not want to remember. And
so
thus,
he makes the
this
memory
is
erasing
literally
device.
Exactly. And this is the moment where Fiddleford just goes off the deep end and starts erasing his memory and becomes like the kooky old railroad looking miner McGucket that we know and love now. Yes. So anyways, back at the lab, we now see that Stanford, he's all alone and he's under a lot of stress. Like obviously, you know, the chasing monsters for a living of it all, the opening portals of it all, the working deep and alone in a dark cave, of it all, the trauma in the eyes of your best friend of it all
speaking
starts
in tongues, whatever, alien language.
You know, it's all stressful. Weighing on him. Yeah. It's beginning to strain on his mind and on his psyche.
Oh.
And it gets even scarier.
In Journal 3, a lot of trailing. So the trailing starts happening.
Trailing. Exactly. Okay. A lot of weird words just kind of mushed together and like nonsensical warning messages and all of that. Yeah. And it gets even like creepier when we see when we see Stanford working down in this lab, and like seemingly he starts to hear voices and whispers from around him as he's alone in this deep dark cave laboratory bunker type situation. And so naturally he starts to get very, very paranoid. Mostly about like the folks living in Gravity Falls, thinking that they're after him, they're out to get him. But also just in general about, trust no one. And just like, he's fearing that not only is he in over his head, but that he's losing his sanity. And so at this point, he realizes that he needs someone to like bring him back to reality and also help him like resolve this issue, right? Like he can't let this information about this portal get out to anyone else. But he can't trust anyone in town. There's only one person on the planet that he can trust.
This is
twin brother, Stanley. Exactly. So he sends a rushed postcard, like urgent letter to Stanley. I don't know how he finds him, because I'm pretty sure Stanley's just living somewhere at a hotel. But he can track him down. Exactly. And it's probably the 90s-ish by now. So there's enough technology that he can find him. And so Stanley gets this postcard that obviously makes him concerned, because it just says like urgent, come now, with like the address on it. That's it. Like need your help. That's it. Like all capital letters. So he's hesitant at first because he hasn't seen his brother in like a decade, but he ultimately decides that he should probably respond to this and go see what the hell is going on. Something is not right. And also he's like looking at a list of all the states where he's still allowed to travel to. He's like been banned from like 15 or 20 states. And he's like, well, I am allowed to go to Oregon. So let's go. He gets in his car and he goes. But when he arrives to what is now a very worn down and snow covered A-frame, clearly his brother's not taking care of it anymore. Windows are kind of like cracked and wood boards are falling off the roof. Like this place is really losing it. He knocks on the door, and unfortunately the man living inside was nothing like he remembered. From the jump, when Stanford answers the door, he's nervous and he's frantic, and his eyes are looking all over the place. He grabs Stan and pulls him in really quickly and like pins him up against the wall and asks him if he's here to take his eyes.
Oh, the
Callback, obviously, to the Society of
eyes.
the Blind Eye, which
That room
obviously
full of
some
eyes. Yep. I'm glad I
exactly.
accidentally did that episode. All
I
the
thought the
callbacks.
exact same thing, Grace, as I was typing this out. I was like, Grace didn't even
Well,
know it, but
thank
she killed it with
God.
that last episode choice.
Thank God.
Yes.
Wow, great.
So good of a choice on your part, seriously. Because yeah, it ties so much into this episode.
Yeah.
And so then we can assume that the Society of the Blind Eye, well, we know who started it from your
Right. And they're up
episode and
and
everything, but
active. Yeah.
and it checks with this because obviously it was a product of him, of McGucket wiping his memory over and over
Yeah.
and not wanting to see the monsters anymore in town. And so it checks out that they would be after Ford and that he would be
Yes.
like thinking he would be paranoid about them trying to attack him or like steal his
Yeah.
eyes and wipe his memory and everything, right? So
Yeah.
this is why Ford just looks very unkempt and unwell and is worried about being followed and he's unshaven and
Mhm.
he just looks so disheveled. And that's not who Stanley remembered when he last saw him when they
Yeah.
were teenagers. So Stanford tells Stanley that he's made a big mistake and that he can't trust anyone anymore.
Mhm.
And Stanley's like, dude, you're my brother. No, it's fine. And trust me, I've seen a lot of crazy stuff. Like, I've been in prison in 3 different countries, okay?
And
You
Stanford's
can
like,
explain
buckle up.
anything. Yeah, exactly. And that's basically what happens. Like the next scene, it just jumps to them in the lab, like looking at the portal machine, and Stanley's like, you can't explain this to me. He's like,
They
yeah,
gotta go
no,
back
you're
to
right. This
prison.
is crazy.
Easier there.
Exactly. Like, what are we doing here? What the hell is going on?
Yeah.
But Stanford explains that, yeah, he's created this whole portal. It's a whole thing, whatever. And the key to working it is in these journals that he's been creating over the past like decade or
Okay.
however many years. But basically, he tells Stanley that like the machine is capable of total world destruction and we cannot let anybody ever learn about it or get their hands on it or figure out what's in these journals because then they'll
Okay.
figure out how to work it. So Stanford shoves the first journal into Stanley's hands and says, I need you to think back to when we were kids. Remember, we said we were going to build a boat. We were going to sail the 7 seas. We were going to get out of here and just explore.
Uh-huh.
I need you to take this, get on a boat, find that land find that place in the middle of nowhere and take this journal with you and never, never leave. Like stay there and don't let anyone get it. Because basically he's like, I'm hiding all of these. I'm separating these
Yes.
journals so
As
no
much
one
as
can ever
possible.
find them. Exactly. And obviously to Stanford, this seems like rational and like a very normal request. But
Uh-huh.
Stanley is pissed off. He is so mad because he was warming up to the idea of reuniting with his brother. And he felt like,
Oh.
you know, finally, this is our chance. We can work together. We can do something together. We can go on our adventure like we
Yeah.
always promised. And he felt that the very second that he reunited with his brother, he was being called there basically just to get further away from him
Yeah.
and not
never
to
see him
build a
again.
stronger connection. Exactly. And never see him again.
Yeah.
So the two then began to fight and bicker yet again over all of their unaired grievances from the past however many years
And they're
about
still in
how
the
like
lab while they're fighting.
they're still in the lab.
In
Yes,
front of
they're
a
still
portal?
in the lab
In front
in
of the
front of a
portal?
portal machine. Exactly. Remember,
Proceeded to-
one of these two twins has no idea how any of this portal stuff works
Uh-huh.
either and
Yep.
is a hothead. He is a known hothead.
Yeah, that's why I needed
All
to
right?
make sure that they were
Exactly.
in front of
Set
triangle.
the stage.
Yeah.
Exactly. Please, for
Set
us,
the
set
platform,
the stage, Grace.
perhaps, with the
If
portal.
you will.
The portal
If you
platform,
will.
maybe.
Gear up the portal, if you
Yeah.
will, for this whole
For the
debacle.
scene. Okay.
So they're arguing, talking about like, you know, Stanford is accusing Stanley of ruining his life and all of his dreams and his chance of success.
Mhm.
And Stanley's like, but you have no idea like what I've gone through. You didn't stand up for me when I got kicked out of the house. I've been locked up in 3 different countries. I'm living out of my freaking car right now.
Mhm.
Like, I've been going through some stuff too, and you're not even asking about how I'm doing or trying to help me. I come all the way over here to help you, and then you just want to send me away to a different country or whatever. So they're pushing each other, they're tussling,
Uh-oh.
and in a fit, Stanley tries to burn the journal in front of Stanford, saying like,
Oh,
fine,
shit.
you want it destroyed? I'll fucking destroy it right here in front of you. But
Uh-huh.
Stanford's like, I don't want it destroyed. I want you to hide it. So Stanford jumps in front or jumps into Stanley, pushes him and grabs the book back from him. And in this tussle, Stanley accidentally triggers a button that starts the portal back up, which is probably why he created the 3 override key system so that this would never happen again.
Yeah.
By the
no
way,
accidents.
you shouldn't be able to gear this portal up with one lever or one button push or whatever.
Multi-step. 2-factor authentication.
Always minimum 2. So yes, the portal starts back up. And it's whirring and it's making all this noise. And Stanley, who's clearly not a scientist, has no idea what's happening, but he can't respond quickly enough. And Stanford starts to levitate because he's standing right in front of the portal when this happens, obviously. And he starts to slowly get pulled into the portal. But once he's like more than a few feet off the ground, Stanley can't grab him. He's too far and too high up. So it's like, like, what do I do? What do I do? And he's just panicking, like, Stanford, tell me what to do. Tell me how to turn this thing off. But it's too late. And Stanford just throws the journal at him so that he can have it and figure something out.
Shit.
And he's just screaming as the portal sucks him in and then just shuts off.
Oh, shit.
And that's it. Could you imagine? I don't think I'd ever be able to live with myself. I'm like, really, I don't know what I would do.
I feel like I would immediately have a mental break. I'd be like, what I just saw did not actually happen. There's no way this is real.
Yeah.
There's
like,
no way this is real.
It's obviously, I'm dreaming, obviously, like I did way too much, like peyote at that party last night. And so
I'll wake up, I drink too much prison wine. I'm tripping. I'll wake up in prison. I'll be fine.
Exactly. I'll just wake up, just like keep slapping yourself. I'm eventually going to wake up. Right.
Also, and that you sent like your unstable brother deep in there. So now I'm worried about present day, what that situation is.
I don't know if they have therapists in whatever dimension he wound up in. Like, is he going to be able to work through plural? Like, we don't know. So
worst case scenario.
Then literally there is no worse there. I guess the only worst case would be like then the house is nuked. I don't know. Like that's,
I mean, but then it'd be over. That might be better because you have to deal with it
long. Exactly.
You're actually gone.
Worst case scenario, literally does not get worse than this. Yeah, that's right. You're right. So Stan then tells everyone that he spent the next 3 weeks just cooped up in the lab. He did not leave.
Yeah.
Did not leave the lab, did not leave the house. He was just trying everything he could, flipping through the one journal that he had, trying to figure out a way to turn the machine back on and get his brother back.
Yeah.
But you need all 3 journals to unlock the key to working this thing. Yeah. And Ford had already hid the other 2, and he had no way of finding them. Like, he was looking for them, but as we know now, they weren't hidden in the house. Exactly. One is in a tree, and the other one somehow little Gideon had.
Yeah,
I'm not quite sure how he got that one, but it was hidden somewhere in Gravity Falls.
Yeah, and
not
they got
in
it back, I guess.
The A-frame. Exactly. So he had to just keep staying in the lab and pressing buttons and knobs and doing whatever he could to try to turn that thing back on. But it was hopeless. So eventually, after the few weeks went by, he ran out of food in the house and he had to make his way actually into the town to go to a store and buy something to eat. Mm-hmm. But he gets there and he's like, he's checking his pockets and like, again, he's broke. He's homeless. He literally, any money that he had, he spent on gas to drive out to Gravity Falls. So he has like a penny and like some fuzz in his pocket. That's basically it. And he's at the store. And a lot of the townsfolk there actually start to recognize him because, like, they've seen Stanford around town, kind of, or like, maybe hiking in the woods or whatever. And they know that, like, some really mysterious, secretive scientist has, like, taken up, he lives out in the woods and he's doing weird, creepy experiments and all of that. But, like, they're not afraid of him. They're more intrigued and fascinated and just, like want to know. Up. Yeah. Like, whoa, hi, it's you. How are you? Like, can we like see what you're doing and all of that? Yeah. And it's funny because we see a lot of the townsfolk that we see throughout the show in the future, but just like their younger selves, aka like Jennifer Coolidge's character is there.
Oh my God, Lazy Susan.
But she doesn't have a squinty eye. Exactly. So Susan I don't know if they call her Lazy Susan. Exactly.
Just Susan.
Yes. Just Susan. And like some of the others too, who we see whatever, like
Yeah,
the sheriff before he's a sheriff and stuff like
that's
that.
funny.
So it's just kind of cool to see that too. And they're all saying like, wow, we would love to like take a tour of your creepy lab. We bet you're doing all sorts of
Oh,
fun experiments in there. How
Stan's getting an
spooky.
idea.
Uh-huh. And they're
He just
like, we
sees
would
money
even be
bags
willing
around
to
him.
pay. Uh-huh.
Okay.
And thus, as you've called it, the murder hut, soon to be renamed the Mystery Shack,
Uh,
would be born.
yeah, yeah,
Murder hut, clearly, yeah, that probably didn't last for too long.
didn't
Probably
ring. Yeah,
didn't ring as quite as well and didn't bring in as much money.
yep.
But this
Mystery
worked
Shack.
actually very well. Yeah. Mystery
Yeah.
Shack is a lot more marketable.
Yes.
And this actually worked out very well in a way for Stan because look, he is committed to getting his brother back, but he knows that he can't leave Gravity Falls until he gets his brother. But he also
Yes.
knows that to get his brother back, he needs to pay his brother's mortgage because he can't let the house go on the market because the
Someone else
machine
will
that
find
he needs and the
this.
lab exactly
Yes.
is in the house. So he needs to pay his brother's bills somehow to keep the house. So he runs the Mystery Shack by day, making quite a bit of money, as we see, like getting a lot of tourists in there,
Yeah.
growing it into the successful tourist trap that we know it to be today. And at night, he spends all of his time and energy first finding the journals, but then
Yeah.
eventually using them to figure out how to get this machine back up and running and how to work it and to find his brother. So that now brings us up to speed, back to modern day in Gravity Falls. And we're back down in the lab with Seuss, Dipper, Mabel in the stands, hiding from the feds as they
Oh,
close
yeah.
in on the family in the lab. Exactly. Like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And Seuss even says, like, oh man, I was so mystified by your story that I forgot they were even up there.
I thought we were wanted criminals.
Yeah, right.
Cornered. Okay.
So when Seuss says the word forgot or forget, Dipper gets a great idea.
Oh my God.
Calling back yet again to your last episode, Grace.
Oh my God.
Dipper's like, I think I have something that can help us.
More
And he
crime.
pulls lots more crime. Well, hey, not a crime if you don't remember it, right? I guess
That's
if
true.
the police doesn't remember you committed it. So he pulls a very useful tool out of his book bag. That's right, Old Man McGucket's memory eraser that Grace introduced to us in her last episode a couple weeks ago.
Wow.
And Stanford sees him pull it out and he's like, bro, first of all, perfect. Second of all, how the hell did you get your hands on one of these? Because he obviously is aware of the Society of the Blind Eye.
Yeah.
So Stanford's like, bro, you just won
This
some
kid-
points in my book. Give me
this
that
kid
thing.
knows
Yeah,
some
let's.
shit.
Yeah, exactly. Like, give me that. We're getting out of here. Perfect. So he like tunes. Stanford's a genius. Okay, right? He like is
Yeah.
able to somehow connect the memory machine or the memory eraser to like a radio frequency that the
Damn.
all the federal
Genius.
agents are using. He's a genius. He handles it easily. And he just turns that bad boy on, and right as the agents are literally getting ready to like move the vending machine out of the way and like
Bust
bust down
down
the
there.
secret door behind it, we just hear this like loud blaring noise, and all of them just freeze in place, and then just start looking around like, what are we doing again? And then they all just like walk outside and start just like kind of looking at each other like, what was
What are
that?
we doing here?
What's happening?
Whoa.
And so then Stanford bursts out of the Mystery Shack, still like fully in his trench coat and like
Geared
steampunk
up.
type, like cyberpunk outfit. And he walks up to Agent Powers and says, I'm your superior from Washington. We found out that all these weird anomalies that you guys were looking into here are actually it was just from a meteor shower, some electromagnetic frequency stuff,
Shit.
whatever.
Smart
So,
words,
smart words, blah, 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 blah. But it's hilarious because, again, reminding us that he's been trapped in some other dimension for like 30 years now. He's like, I'm going to need you guys to hand over all the information you guys have on your 8 tracks and your floppy disks and just go on, hand them over. And Agent Powers is like, I have this thumb drive. Like I have this
like,
USB. And he's like, yeah, sure. Yeah, that. Yeah, good. Cool. Go on back to Washington now. Yep. I'll handle it from here, guys.
Damn.
And that works. They all load back into their helicopter
Damn.
Humvees and their SUVs, and they just peel the fuck on out
Ooh,
of there.
Ford.
Still very confused, but like, okay,
I
yeah, I
guess.
guess. Okay, cool. And so, yeah, great job, Ford. Genius. He's
Damn.
good. He knows what he's doing. I don't know what the fuck he ran into in that portal or in those other
He
dimensions,
knows how
but
to.
he's been around the block. He knows how to get
Yep.
by. So
Yep.
at this
Damn.
point, the day is late. And the brothers naturally have a lot to discuss, and kind of a tricky situation they're in now. Because
Yeah.
again, Stan
They
has
got,
stolen Stanford's ID and is living in his house and has turned his entire house
yes.
into like a museum, basically,
Yeah.
and
And
all of that.
also,
So
Stanford's probably seen like we said, a lot of shit the last 30 years.
a lot of shit. Yep, he needs to
I
decompress
need
for
some
a
updates
second.
from him. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they send Seuss back home and they tell Mabel and
Go on.
Dipper to go upstairs and get ready for bed. Yeah, go home now, Seuss. Go on.
Okay. Go on. All
Go
right, kids, go to
on.
bed.
Go to
I'm sure you'll
bed.
fall
Go to
asleep. No
bed. We
problem
got to
tonight.
chat. Yep, no
Go
trauma,
on.
nothing, no crazy
Night
memories.
night.
Dipper, I know Dipper's like shaking with excitement. Ever since
All
Ford
his
walked out of
dreams.
the portal and put his
Put the
hand on the
hand.
book, he's just been like like fangirling. Like he stops him so many times during that whole like background story, just like cheering him
Just
on, like
screaming the
yes,
whole
yes,
time.
yes, yeah. And, like at first, it's clearly annoying Ford, but then when he pulls out that memory eraser, Ford's like, "Okay, I like you, kid.
You chill
Actually, you're
now.
cool. You're cool. Yeah." So Mabel and Dipper go up to bed, and the Stans stay downstairs, or they're like outside on the front porch chatting, catching
Mhm.
up, talking about how like it's crazy how old they've gotten and how they're starting to look like their dad and all of that. And like
Mm.
they're friendly at first and all of that, but then Stanford takes a deep breath
And
and
it
he's
does.
like, "All right, listen, Stan, you can stay here for the rest of the summer to watch the kids because like yeah he is starting to warm up to the kids because also he likes that Mabel
Yeah.
is just like kind of weird and like he's like she's
Yeah.
weird, I like her.
I like her.
He's like yeah, I like this kid. um and he's like I'll stay in the basement, I'll keep working on fixing the portal because I guess they are still expecting doomsday to come as McGucket foresaw,
Oh,
so like they
shit.
know that
Okay.
they still need to use this portal for something, which like maybe we'll get to that in a bit, just
Okay.
as we wrap up like our final bow on this show. But like he says, I'll keep doing that during the summer. You can stay upstairs and like watch the kids and they're still going to be here
Hmm.
for a little while until they go back home. But after that, you need to find some new living arrangements and you really need to give me my ID and my life back. Like you got to get out of here after that.
I
Which I was like,
mean,
damn, fucking burn, bro.
I know. And also,
Really?
like, remember the last time you pushed him away? What happened? Pushed in a port
Did
for
not
30
go well
years.
for either of them, for real. And
Yeah.
at this point, I'm thinking, like, look, you got to look around and see that, like, Stanley's done pretty good for himself here.
Yeah.
Like, he's making a lot of money with the Mystery Shack. Stanford doesn't want people to know what he's up to. So, like, maybe it's a good idea to keep the ruse of the Mystery Shack going
Yeah.
while you're doing your experiments in the secret lab
Right.
in
This
the
place is
basement.
known
And, like,
now.
yeah, right. And
Yeah.
like
Hmm.
you're lonely. You need someone you trust nearby. And like I think your brother's learned from his mistakes. He's a lot wiser now. He knows how to use this machine now, so he's not going to
Yeah.
accidentally send you through the portal again. Like
Yeah.
that's
And he knows what's
resolved.
going on in general now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he believes in all this stuff, so he can help you. And he's muscle, right? Like you need muscle
Yes.
on your adventures. So like you two would actually make a good duo. So me, when I'm watching this, I'm like, oh, that's kind of shitty, Ford. Like
Yeah.
you could let him stay, whatever. And Stanley agrees because at this point, he's just like, you're seriously not going to thank me, are you? And he's
Damn.
making a good point here because Stanley is not smart. So the fact that he was able to figure this out, I know it took 30 years, and I know it was his fault that this whole thing happened in the
Yeah.
first place, but like, you do at least kind of have to say thank you and be impressed that your brother figured this shit
And
out
like, it's
with
been
two
30
little kids
years.
running around him. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And it's been 30 years. And
Been
like, he's
30
probably,
years.
he looks fine. Like, Stanford looks great, actually. Like,
He
he's got a
sounds more
great head of
sane
hair.
than
He's in
before.
good shape. Exactly. He must have found therapy in there in some
Yeah. The
respect,
therapy
whether it was
portal,
through
the therapy
violence or through an
dimension.
actual therapist. I don't
Yeah.
know, but he got all of that anger and the paranoia out of his system.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it sucks, but like Did you die though?
Did you
Eh,
die?
you didn't.
And he got you
So
back.
yeah,
So
he got you back, most importantly. So yeah, Stan is like, you're not even gonna thank me, are you? Like, I did all this work, I freed you, I brought you
mhm.
back to Earth, but nonetheless, Stan agrees and says, you know what, fine, I'll leave at the end of the summer on one condition. You stay away from the kids because, as far as I'm concerned, they're the
Oh,
only family I have left, and I won't risk losing them too.
okay.
So Mabel and Dipper, meanwhile, they're upstairs getting tucked into bed and they overhear this entire
Yeah.
conversation. Like, AKA, they're getting
Yeah.
tucked into bed. Like, both of them have their ears up to the door,
Obviously,
just
yeah.
like, what are they
Absolutely.
saying? Hey,
You think they're
yeah.
gonna go to bed after all this? No.
No,
No.
they're never sleeping again,
No,
literally, never
exactly.
again. So, and actually, we see that tonight because the two do get into bed and they say their good nights to each other. And Mabel's like, Dipper, do you think we're going to end up like them one day? And Dipper's like, what do you mean? And Mabel's like, well, they used to be best friends and now they hate each other. Do you think you're going to get all stupid one day and hate me too? And Dipper's like, I'm not going to get any more stupid than you are, stupid. And he
Cute.
says good night. And he calmly falls asleep pretty easily, probably because all of
He's
his
exhausted.
questions about the journal, he's exhausted, but
Yeah.
also like he's at peace because he now knows who
He's
the
at
journal
peace.
owners are.
It's the best
And it's his
night he's
uncle.
had all life.
Yeah. He's like,
All
I'm going
damn
to
life.
sleep like a baby tonight.
Yeah.
I'm great. But Mabel, on the other hand, she seems a lot less sure. And so the episode ends with her just laying in bed, eyes wide open, kind of frowning, staring at the ceiling above her, not able to fall asleep. And that's the end. So sorry to end it on
Well,
another cliffhanger, but like we know the show has a relatively happy ending. So
yeah, we
like,
know it
yeah.
keeps going. We know this isn't the end, which is nice.
Exactly,
And
exactly. But that's
I,
in my opinion, the biggest mystery is who made the journals.
yes,
And
and
now we have an
how,
answer to that.
and like what
Exactly.
this portal situation is
Yes. And what
like.
Stan has to do with all of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I feel like the remaining mystery is, yeah, like what this doomsday is and Demon Bill Cipher situation, but like
Hmm.
that just seems more like, okay, now that's just a fun romp and adventure to save the
Exactly.
world,
End of the
is what it turns
world.
into.
Exactly. How do you guys save it? Right. And
Yes.
I think I've watched like, it's a 3-part outro that they do where they do the whole, like, I think
Oh,
it's called Weird Mageddon. It's like the Armageddon, like Bill is returning to
oh,
the world and the
uh-huh.
portal is opening and all that. And it's
Yeah.
like the last 3 episodes of the season. I think I watched the first 2 of them, but I haven't watched the last one yet.
Mm.
I was like, yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like, I guess we could have ended it on that, but like, it's really confusing too. Like, there's so much going on with portals opening and different monsters
Oh
from those
God.
portals coming to this
Uh-huh.
world and all of that. Like, this just seemed like a better way to end it for me. So
Yeah,
that
I
this
like
is
it.
episode 12, and the last 3 episodes, I guess, are 18, 19, 20. So there's like
Oh,
a
cool. So there's still some
5 or 6
space.
episode gap in between where they get into
Yeah.
random shenanigans with like Ford and monster hunting
Cool.
and
Yeah.
random things like that. But like
Dimensions.
this is basically like the end of the
Yeah.
story. So
Wow.
yeah, yeah.
Incredible.
Thank you. Thank you.
Incredible
Incredible
work.
job to the writers of this fucking
I
show, man.
know.
These are I can say right now 2 of the best like kids cartoons episodes I've ever watched.
Yeah, this is,
Like
I'm so excited to go watch
such a great
these.
story. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm thrilled.
They killed it with this. And the animation in it is amazing. Like the whole gravitational
Oh,
anomalies.
yeah, yeah.
That plus the score, dude, like you can tell they had a
Can't
whole
wait.
orchestra up in there, like a
Hell
symphony
yes.
freaking scoring this episode. Like it's
Okay,
great. They
I'm
crushed
so
it.
excited to
And
watch these too.
I understand why they got a lot of award nominations for it and
Yeah,
why they're like such popular episodes in the series because it answers a lot of things and they
yes.
just
And it's like
fucking killed it with
beautiful.
making them. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
cool. Wow,
great way
great
to end
job.
our arc
Yes,
of this show. Yeah.
for
It's
real.
been real. I'll
I
miss
loved
it,
it. I loved
but
it so
not for
much.
too long because, like you said, Grace, there's definitely some holiday
Holiday
arc
arc
episodes that I've already pinned a
opportunities.
couple that I'm going to
Damn.
do from this show. So we will be back with more Gravity Falls.
Yes,
But I
beautiful.
guess any other like last, thoughts you have on the show before we
Um,
finally send it down the river and say goodbye?
Viking
Yeah, you,
funeral it.
yeah. boom, get our burning
Um,
arrows.
yeah, I think just yeah, I really loved this show a lot. I really want to get like go watch the whole thing, like episode by episode. But I guess just my main last closing thought is like a reminder. This was a recommendation from a listener. I think again, I think
Oh yeah.
their name was
Swamp Mill?
Swamp Nail. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I hope we did you proud on this. And yeah, we
Hmm.
take recommendations. So leave them in comments or on YouTube or on our
Email,
Instagram. Yeah,
Instagram.
email.
Hmm.
Yeah, we want to hear your show recommendations. And this was a
Hmm.
recommendation that came up last year. And we were like, we're going to start the year off strong
On
with
it.
it. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, we deeply appreciate this rec. And please drop your recommendations. We'll check the show out. If we don't get to it right away, know that it's probably on the list. So
We
that's
do.
my
We
main
record
closing thought.
episodes in advance. So
Hmm.
sometimes if you guys comment on this video, for example, we probably won't see it until several weeks after we've
Yes.
recorded. So it might take us a couple of weeks at
Couple of
least to like
arcs.
get
Yeah,
to
to get to
it. Yeah,
it.
but we promise we love getting recommendations. We've done a few
Yes.
shows that have been recommended to us
Hmm.
now. And because one, it makes our lives easier because
Yeah.
like you
We
guys
don't have
just
to
tell us what
research.
to cover.
Yeah.
And two, it's just fun for us to like learn about new shows that we've either never heard of or just, we were too young or too old maybe to watch at
Yeah.
the time that it came out.
Because
So
wasn't Mobile Mysteries also a recommendation?
yes, that
Yeah.
was
And like
another one.
we hadn't seen
Um,
either of them, and both of those have become like my favorite shows,
love
the
them.
Mobile and
Yes.
this.
Yeah.
So
And like my
like,
favorite arcs of our podcast too so far.
yes.
I feel like there was one more, but maybe not. I want, I was going to say wasn't Animalia recommended to us, but no, that
No
was
one would
our own
recommend that.
insanity. No, no one would recommend such a show. Yeah.
No
So,
one recommended that to us.
but get in on this, the recommending
Yeah.
and the two viewers who have recommended those two shows, they're very like they're always commenting on our videos, and I
Yeah.
love seeing the things that they like the little nuggets about these shows that they know.
Yes, that like we
You
just
guys are
don't have
always
the
teaching
context
me more
for.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in fact, I have to call out right now too, my episode with the putt-putt golf.
Uh-huh.
Like I felt like such an idiot because one of the commenters, I believe it was the person who recommended Mobile Mysteries to
Uh-huh.
us, made the comment that that whole like premise was based on Gulliver's freaking travels because
Right,
the
getting
little
strapped down
Prussians.
to the
Yes, the
that's
little
literally a scene.
Prussians are literally the names of the like little like monsters or whatever little like dwarf thingies
You know what?
in Gulliver's Travels, and
I've
I was
never
like,
actually
honestly, I
I,
haven't read it.
same,
I
so
haven't
I
read
feel
it.
better,
I've
but
only
also
exactly,
damn,
but that yeah,
this
I was
show's so
like,
smart.
holy shit. It did. The show is really smart. Our viewers are very smart, and I
Yes,
love that
that's
because you guys are
awesome.
always teaching us stuff and you're recommending great
Yes, or
shows.
making your own theories
So,
that then we I remember in Inspector
exactly.
Gadget, someone pointed out a theory and we were like, holy shit, yes.
Oh, that's genius. Yeah, we're rolling with
Yes.
that. So, yeah, we're all enlightening each other and
Yes.
opening each other's eyes and escaping from the real world with
Yes.
fun cartoons and
As
these
much as we can.
these dark days. Anyways, so on
Yes.
that note, we've loved doing this show. We're very, very excited for our next show. We've already
Yeah.
picked it out. So sorry if you're in our inbox right now recommending us something after this. We've
Yeah.
already chosen what
We
we're
kind of
doing
planned
next, but we
ahead a little
promise.
bit.
Yeah, but we'll get to your recommendation one day.
Yep.
And anyway, though, until we come back next week, Grace will have her first episode of our new
Yes.
arc. So
Yes.
until then, Grace, who should everyone tell about this podcast?
You know, I think you should tell a family member that you're in a fight with, no matter how long that fight's been, send them
Mm.
this episode and be like, see if we keep fighting, I might accidentally shove you, or you might shove me into an interdimensional portal, and we won't see each other for another 30 years. You'll have to drop your whole life and make this whole new portal all over again. You'll be a federal criminal and wanted by a lot of people. So we should probably stop fighting.
Yeah, should probably resolve this conflict now before
Exactly.
it
It
goes
could get a lot
there.
worse. Yeah. And who else should they
Yeah.
tell?
Oh man, I'm drawing a blank.
I know.
Let's
I was like,
see.
fuck. Who?
I was like, who else was in this episode? I guess after that, oh, you should tell a phone psychic, someone who,
Oh,
I'm sure they still
Nice.
have them. Or maybe even like an IG or TikTok sidekick, something like
Yes,
that.
just a
Instagram
psychic
or
kind
like
of
a
variety.
YouTube, because I don't know if they have, I don't know if they really
Yeah.
do the
An
phone ones
internet
anymore,
psychic.
but
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Tell one of
That's good.
them
That's real
because
good.
they will love Mrs. Pines, great grandma Pines. So,
Oh,
yeah.
amazing.
And
Wonderful.
until next week, we'll be back with an all new show.
We
So,
will. Bye.
bye.
Wow.
Thanks for tuning in to Saturday Morning Mysteries.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share, rate, review, leave us a like, and drop a comment. We post episodes every Saturday and bonus tune tangents whenever we feel like it. So please subscribe so you don't miss the shenanigans.
And if you want to follow us on YouTube, click the bell under the YouTube subscribe button to receive notifications when new videos are posted.
And if you want to subscribe to the podcast, we have no idea what you're listening to us on, so just hit the big subscribe button on whatever app you're using. We believe in you.
Give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at SatmornMist, all the abreves, and let us know if you have any episode or show requests by emailing SaturdayMorningMysteries@gmail.com.
Thanks to Jenna Kendall for the logo design and to Ava Sakiki for the music used during this week's episode.
See y'all groovy kids next week on Saturday Morning Mysteries.